Fearscape Media Network, exploring the unknown, one podcast at a time.
There are phenomena that exist all around us. Kids playing above something unknown flies over and disappears. People driving at night, seeing huge creatures cross the road. People waking up to find their cabinet doors ripped open in their kitchen. Strange things happen every day around the world and seemingly at the same time and area. But are these occurrences connected? This is what we are here to explore and are trying to understand.
Join us on our journey
to uncover what we call the Convergence Enigma.
Every week on the Fearscape Media Network. Coming to you from nowhere, a suburb of parts unknown. Your ghoulish hosts for an evening of terror, Stefan Gearhart and Lance Wayne, the Misters of the Dark.
Whoa, yo! What up, fam of the dark? Welcome to another terrifying episode of Misters of the Dark, the greatest horror podcast in the history of horror podcasting. As always, we are beaming directly to you from nowhere, a suburb of parts unknown, and I'm your headmister, Lord Stefan Gearhart.
And I'm your co-mister, the man with no name, Lance Wayne. Stefan? What the hell is up with all this fam of the dark crap?
Lance, it's high time we start moving into more modern areas of entertainment.
It certainly appears as if someone is high.
Hush! Now listen up, fam of the dark. We are going to be competing in what is known as the Color Challenge, where I and my quarter brother will pick a color, then rush out to the nearest Target and purchase a plethora of items matching our respective colors.
This isn't a visual medium, you idiot! Saved by the bell.
Speaking of bells, don't forget to click that bell icon to get notifications for all our latest content.
This isn't YouTube! Ugh. Dear friends, will you please help us in welcoming the GothMother herself, Victoria Elizabeth. She is going to join us in discussing the horror musical classic 1974's Phantom of the Paradise.
Yo, what up, Victoria?
I think you broke. Oh my God! I think you broke the microphone.
Hey, I'm so glad that you're back and not mad at us for killing you last time.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, it took several months to get past, but we're good.
It only took Jesus 3 days, so you need to step up your game.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you need to step up your game.
She has her on you, Jesus.
She's a GothMother. Thanks for stopping by so we could talk about Phantom of the Paradise that we all watched together and loved, because I did.
Yeah.
I love Paul Williams. He's basically Lance in disguise.
No, I'll take that, man. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Man, that man has got the voice of an angel.
He does, and he has written some of the most famous songs that you didn't even know were just an old-fashioned love song. He wrote that one. He wrote a bunch of Carpenter's tunes and
Rainbow Connection
from the Muppets. Like, and then he wrote Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah.
He said, I want to take my image and just shove it up someone's ass.
Yeah.
So real quick, for those not in the know, spoiler alert, we're going to give away the entire film. And if you haven't watched this yet, that's your fault. Phantom of the Paradise, 1974 American rock musical horror comedy film, written and directed by none other than Brian De Palma, the man behind Carrie and all sorts of incredible films.
He's had a weird career, very weird career.
Dude, such a weird career. This dude did The Fury, which is a really good movie, but also Scarface, The Untouchables, Bonfire of the Vanities, Raising Cain, Mission Impossible. I mean, dude was all over the place. It was just a dude. But this is like 2 years before he did Carrie. But it stars Paul Williams, of course, man of screen and recording stuff, artist stuff. But yeah, I'm excited. This is a rock opera basically based on the Faust legend, basically where a man sells his soul to the devil to gain shit, depends on which Faust legend you're looking at. And Jessica Harper, man, and her dance moves. That's all.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna say the whole movie with the chicken wing dance move.
God, I remember. Because if you remember correctly, she's in Shock Treatment.
Yes,
and
a sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes, and I remember. What's that?
She's in a lot of other stuff, like another cult classic.
Suspiria.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Suspiria.
Yeah.
But I just remember because I watched Phantom of the Paradise before I saw Shock Treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching Shock Treatment and just remembering her dance moves from Phantom of the Paradise. And I just remember sitting there thinking, or I said it out loud to whoever I was watching it with, but I said, who the fuck told her she could dance?
Dude, but she does it like 110%. She's like, no. Tell the choreographer to back the fuck up. Okay, I've had a fucking snoot of fucking Coke, and I've had a shot of vodka. Let me show you what I can do. Let me show you what I can do. Let me start with the chicken wing.
You know what? That was really the move that everyone kind of did in that era anyway.
And through the whole movie.
Yeah,
even Beef does it.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Well, I prefer Beef's version of that dance better. But
of course you do. But not only is this based off of Faust, but it's also lightly based off of course, Phantom of the Opera, Picture of Dorian Gray, as well. Some pretty famous ones. This was a huge box office failure. It had a $1.3 million budget, and I think maybe it just barely grossed 500,000. It grossed. It grossed 18,000 in its first weekend.
I don't know if you've read this though, but it oddly had like this big cult following and somewhere in Canada.
In Winnipeg. Yes, it did extremely well in Winnipeg. And I believe the Phantom of the Paradise like big convention thing that they do every year is in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So wait, it's like their Big Lebowski?
Yes.
I guess. Yeah.
Yes, it's huge. I think a fan organized festival dubbed Phantom Palooza is held in Winnipeg, where the fan base takes particularly strong root. Like William Finley even went there before he passed, the guy that plays the Phantom. And they do it in the exact same theater where the film had its original run. And so there was this was in New York City, never mind. But yeah, so the Phantom Palooza happens in Winnipeg. If that would still go, I'm sure COVID ruined that. But I'd love to go to that. Oddly enough, even though this was a box office failure, it received Academy Awards and Golden Globe nominations for the music. So the music won massive praise. And of course, now over the years, it has a huge, massive cult following.
Oh, yeah.
And people compare it right up next to Rocky Horror Picture Show, as do I. It is.
Oh, this is just a little fun fact too. You mentioned Carrie earlier. Sissy Spacek was actually in charge. I don't know if she was in charge, but she worked in wardrobe on this film.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very interesting. But yeah, this was released on Halloween 1974.
Man.
1974. But yeah, it did really shitty, and it sucks because you gotta love some Paul Williams, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get in. Let's get cracking about this movie. Basically, we got when movie starts, singer-songwriter Winslow Leach, which is the main character of the Phantom. I guess he would be the main character. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's Phoenix as the main character. Sometimes it feels like Swan is the main character. But anyways, he is heard playing the piano and playing this opera that he's written based off of Faust.
But you're skipping that whole introduction to.
I'm getting
Swan,
there with the juicy fruits. Oh, you tell that. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, but there's a whole introduction of, because I can see where you can get confused because there's this whole introduction to Swan. It's this big monologue done by Rod Sterling, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Twilight Zone and Planet of the Apes, whatever. And it's just like the thing that always sticks out in my mind is he brought the blues to Britain.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what always stuck out.
I wish I had that monologue in front of me because I would just read it out loud.
Yeah.
That monologue was just, I rewound the movie.
Really? Oh man.
3 times.
Oh
Because
my.
I was like, wait, did I just hear what I heard? So then I put on subtitles. Normally I watch it with subtitles, but they were off for some reason. So then I put on subtitles and I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, I don't know. It felt out of left field and I was just like, what did they get into?
Yeah.
Well, it's great because it sets up Swan, like you say.
Yeah.
Because which is what makes Swan's character so great later on is you find out that Swan's not even who you think Swan is.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
He's the mystery man at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a mystery man, but you think he's the devil, and come to find out he got fucked over by the devil too, right? So,
Yeah.
that's what's beautiful about it. But yeah, it's that beautiful monologue there, and then we go in and there's a set. They talk about the juicy fruits was Swan's biggest thing, was bringing the nostalgia wave of the 1950s back, bringing in the band the Juicy Fruits, which they do this opening number that's just ridiculous.
Oh, I love it though, man. Oh,
it was a great intro.
Yeah, the Juicy Fruits are great. And when they get done, that's when and the best is Winslow's out there like putting up his own sign,
pasting it over the juicy
like here is
fruit.
this man who is obviously talented but ugly, but it's the 70s, so it's okay. You can still get famous back then if you were ugly.
I relate a lot to that.
But he's putting up his own signs over the top of the juicy fruit, and then everybody leaves, and he's like, "Well, I'm still gonna play my shit."
Yeah.
And he gets out there and he plays a song, and he's just. It's so funny, watching him, because people are walking in the background and he's just watching everybody to see if they're watching him sing or play. But behind the mirrored screen is the mysterious Swan, right?
The music. Listen to the music.
Listen to the music. Which Swan loves the music, and he's talking to his number one guy, and he's like, "This is it. This is what's going to open up the paradise." And this is his new concert hall that he's going to be opening up. Arnold Philbin, that's the guy's name. And so he tells him, he's like, "Well, do you want me to sign him?" And he's like, "Oh no, this guy's shit." I want his music. I don't want him. I want his music. And basically, he tells Philbin to steal this music by telling him they're going to produce it.
Yeah. Right.
By dick teasing.
Yeah.
And so he straight up just gives him all the music. He's like, "Oh yeah, totally. Here you go. I'm gonna be famous. I got an opera. And this is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be based off of
I'm just gonna say a little bit of the Phantom or his dark side or whatever does come out, because at first if I'm not mistaken, he's thinking that the music is going to be played by the Juicy Fruit.
Yeah, and he was like, mm-mm.
Yeah, and he pushes them up against the wall. My music will not be played by those grease balls.
Yeah. Like, you can tell his transition into the Phantom, it was already part of his personality.
Yeah.
So it really digs in. To me, it almost hits a little Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But time passes and he hears nothing. Nothing's going on. And so he decides he's going to go to Swan's house over to go to Swan's Death Records, which is Swan's label, to follow up about his music. But of course, he gets thrown out because we already know what's happening. So then
wait. Can we talk about how he's thrown out and rejected?
Yes.
Okay, so I love the visuals in this movie because it's like, rather than making it very simple, they're just like putting it in your face as if it's not obvious.
Yeah.
You know? And when you see his name and then it flips up, never to be seen. It's
never
just
to
like,
be seen. Yeah. She goes through the secretary.
Yeah, and then the chick at the receptionist like smiles and looks at him like, haha, and like takes pleasure in pushing this weird alarm sound.
Yeah.
Like, what?
The room itself is already weird. Like, the room itself is already
expecting
the
like
mirrors,
the hook, you know,
that
come out, like take him away.
Like, you know, I know Paul Williams didn't write this movie and direct it, but he is such a cornball himself. I'm with you. I expected the hook to come out like that as well, because there are some great corny moments in this that you just gotta love. But yeah, and then he tries to sneak into Swan's mansion, which is one of my favorites too.
And literally like sneak, like you're seeing
like tiptoe like the wolf in the old cartoons.
Yes.
So what's they even play, like, it's not on the soundtrack, but there's a song in the movie when he's approaching Swan's mansion. It's like, I never thought I'd meet the devil in person or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to point out, okay, a lot of people call this a Rocky Horror Picture Show ripoff. Well, this came out a year before Rocky Horror Picture Show came out. Now, Rocky Horror, the show, was on stage, you know, at this time, but the movie had not been made.
Well, and this is around this time, 1974. This is when glam rock was at its peak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, so and glam rock, it's so theatrical unto itself.
Yeah, right. Even Tommy hadn't come out yet. Tommy the movie didn't come out till the next year. As well. So this was a good pioneer of a lot of things. But yeah, glam rock is happening. Rock operas are hot. Those concept albums are just huge definitely. At this time. But anyway, so he sneaks in to the mansion and observes all these women that are rehearsing his music for an audition. So he's getting pumped because he's an idiot. And he's thinking, great, they just couldn't find me. They must have, you know, he didn't say this, but they're like, he must have dialed a 7 instead of an 8 on my phone number, is essentially the attitude that he's got. And he's like, hey, you guys are auditioning with, he's like Scooby-Doo. You guys are auditioning for my show.
I know you say that I'm like Swan. I feel like my appearance is like Swan, but my brain is almost like Winslow Lee.
Like you merge them together, you've got legs.
Yeah, I'm the perfect hybrid of those two characters.
But this is where we're introduced to our female love interest character, Phoenix, who is an aspiring singer. And he decides he likes her voice, and he's like, oh, this is my music. Yeah, I'll teach you how to do this.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like he thinks
his Christine.
Yeah, his Christine. But see, even Phoenix finds out she doesn't even get to audition. She basically gets dragged into a room to basically get raped. Is essentially. She gets out of there, but the couch casting.
Buzzkill, Stefan.
Yep. Sorry, I keep it real. Okay, because this is the music industry of the 70s. The shit happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and De Palma's kind of known anyway for being a little overtly, I guess, for that era, having sexual content and like violence like throughout.
Well, the mid 70s, late 70s was prime for this. This is when they were really pushing the boundaries. Anyways, that was what it was all about.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I was really surprised though, because I when those scenes were starting, I was a little afraid as to like where it would go or how far it would go, but they really left it more to the imagination as opposed to showing something, which I was not expecting. I was pleasantly horrified, surprised. I don't know how to say that. You know?
That needs to be a t-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially the doors open, the doors closed.
Right. Yeah.
And you see Philbin just sweaty like a stuck pig.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, honestly, you know, women empowerment, Phoenix, she doesn't put up with it, you know?
Right.
She walks out of there, I came here to sing.
Yeah. So, of course, he finds out that Swan is gonna open the paradise with all of his music. He gets thrown out again. So this time he decides to dress like a woman.
Comes back in drag. Yeah.
Comes back in drag like nobody.
Wait. Now, I don't know, did I miss the transition, or was that transition just messy to where all of a sudden he's just there in drag?
Oh, it's just messy.
Yeah.
I think it's on purpose because we know he's going to get thrown out again.
Yeah.
But he tries to, he gets into the casting area with Swan. Like, which tells you, because the original casting area was with Philbin and those guys, which means he's past phase 1, y'all.
Yeah.
We talk about how Winslow has passed phase 1 in drag of the casting couch and is now going in to hook up with Swan.
He must have good gag reflexes.
That's what I'm saying. But Swan, of course, is not dumb. He figures it out, has Winslow beaten and framed for drug dealing, and then gets him a life sentence in Sing Sing.
Yep.
Which I think is hilarious because it's all rock opera. Where they randomly extract his teeth.
Yes, can we
put metal ones in?
Yeah, that part.
But extract them and replace them, not just extract them.
Now, this was a real practice, just not in the 70s. It was something that happened way back in the day because it limited infection. So they would pull their teeth out and sometimes replace them with, dentures or whatnot.
Right.
Because it would help with infection because they weren't making them brush their teeth and stuff like that. But
I don't want to lose all my teeth.
But the best is that, this was a prisoner program funded by the Swan Foundation.
Yep.
But yeah, so now he's got metal teeth like Jaws in that James Bond movie.
Yep.
So 6 months later, Winslow hears that the Juicy Fruits have made an anticipated hit record of his music with Swan's backing, the thing he did not want to happen. So this man loses his shit and he jumps
on an assembly line making tiddlywinks.
Making tiddlywinks, jumps into a delivery box and breaks into the Death Records building again.
Yeah.
Okay. Seriously though, best escape ever. He just jumps into a box that goes down the line. They're like, well, he made it this far. I guess we'll just let him get packed on the truck.
Yeah. The man's persistent. You got to give him that.
Yeah.
I love it, man. So Winslow goes in and just starts destroying all of the records and the presses. Like he actually successfully breaks into Death Records this time. But this dumbass slips and falls into the record press, which crushes and burns the right half of his face, also destroying his vocal cords. His transition to the Phantom is almost complete. He's now become Two-Face.
Yeah.
But he escapes. He gets out of there and jumps into the East River, which is gross. This is the 70s. So, it was like extra gross. So I'm like, if this was like real life, he'd be the Toxic Avenger at this point.
Completely. Totally.
He would be the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
He'd end up in Tromaville.
Yep. So later on, we see him disoriented. He's deformed. He sneaks into the Paradise costume department, which I think is hilarious. Like, he's like, I'm just going to go through this costume area and
Right.
get a costume.
He scares off those bikers.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be security. Yeah.
So, but he
They really
gets his
suck at their
costume,
job.
a long black cape, and a sweet ass owl like mask, silver.
Yeah.
I love this mask.
I did too. Yeah.
Punctures one of the eyes out, so his good eye shows.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is reminiscent of oh shoot, who's the horror villain?
Igor.
Yeah. Jason?
Jason, yeah. Yeah.
Well, with the
yeah,
sack.
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
And I wanted to say Scarecrow, and I'm like, this is not it.
Yeah, so Jason Voorhees, yep, in
Well, an Elephant Man.
part 2.
Oh,
Yeah, or Elephant Man. But I love it. I love the focus it puts on his eye. I think this is where this film just kills for me in a good way, is the costuming. Like, this Phantom costume is sweet, dude. I love it. And all of a sudden those teeth work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was getting the urge to want to like cosplay this character watching this.
Oh yeah, man. I'm all about it. But
I've always wondered, because I picked it up obviously watching the film, but I don't really think I've read anything that goes in depth with it. But the symbolism of birds, swan, phoenix.
Death Records has the upside down crow.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's ever been elaborated on or what, but
I don't either. It makes me wonder if there's something in Faust that that's Faustian. I don't
remember Faust enough to.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 20 years since I've read Faust. That I had to do it in my drama class. So, I don't know. But anyways, his transition is fully complete. He has fully transitioned into the Phantom of the Paradise. And he begins terrorizing Swan and his musicians, and even tries to kill the newly formed Beach Bums, which were formerly the Juicy Fruits, but they have traded their doo-wop for surf music now.
Yep. And this, in my personal opinion, this is the worst song on the soundtrack. I hate this song for some reason. For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a bomb that he puts inside like a fake car. And and this is a reworked surf music version of one of Winslow's Faust song. And so the Phantom, yeah, it's awful. But it's supposed to be. I think I think it's meant to be. But at the same time, Swan doesn't do anything wrong, right? He's got his talent, so it's kind of like, you fucked up here, Swan, and you're not supposed to. But yeah, so the Phantom confronts Swan because he finds his like secret little doorway, and Swan of course recognizes him as Winslow right away, offers him a chance to have his music produced his way. So what he does is he gets him into a specially built recording studio. Swan provides him with an electronic voice box, enabling him to speak and sing, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, and his singing voice just so happens to sound like Paul Williams.
Like Paul Williams. Like Swan.
Ain't
so
special.
And Swan, knowing that Winslow is in love with Phoenix, says, I want you to rewrite your cantata with Phoenix in mind for the lead. Although Winslow agrees, he signs a contract in blood. And immediately, pretty much, Swan breaks the deal by telling Philbin that he resents Phoenix's perfection for the role, and he does not want Phoenix for this role, which is crazy.
I love the little stamp that Swan has.
Oh yeah,
I love
too.
That little touch.
Yeah.
I do too. And this is essentially, I mean, this is like, where Phoenix gets to audition again, and this is the whole thing, and this is where her fucking dance moves.
Oh my god.
This is where her dance moves happen.
Yeah.
Because at this point, because the Phantom is with Swan now trying to audition.
Yeah. I just had a thought.
Did it hurt?
A little bit.
Did it go away?
rolling back to when he is in this the studio that Swan has made and essentially locked in there, watching the whole voice box scene, like where he's like fine-tuning it to make it sound like a real voice as opposed to how his voice sounds when he talks. It felt very Darth Vader-y in a way, like you have
I definitely
person who started out here
Again, pre Star Wars.
Like they're
that whole group. Brian De Palma, he was buddies with George Lucas, wasn't he?
I think so. I think they all went to the same film school together.
George Lucas and God, the dude, he did Apocalypse Now. Coppola.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that would make sense.
Scorsese.
That would make sense because like I was watching that and I was just like, this feels vaguely familiar, but I don't know why.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've never thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was a reason we had you on this episode.
Yep. But again, this is the point where Phoenix, the actress who plays Phoenix, looks at the director in real life and says, "You know what? I don't need your damn choreographer. I just did a line of coke and I had some vodka.
Yeah.
Watch what I can do.
Yeah.
Watch what I can do, motherfucker. Watch what I can do." And then she chicken
like
dances
me after a few drinks at the barge down doing karaoke.
It's so true, especially because you know the dance and you do it sometimes. I've seen you do it. I've seen you do it.
You know what I want to see? I want to see the chicken wing dance. Wow. You're doing the stool spin
sample.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't think that's possible.
I don't think it's possible.
I believe in you.
I think that would bring about like the end of the world or something.
Well, I'll tell you what. If mic dropping was a thing, like at this, she would have mic dropped it at the end.
Oh yeah.
She already threw her hat like Michael Jackson does 10 years later.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she's ahead of her time.
Very much so.
She's Phoenix. But anyways, the Phantom completes Faust, but Swan decides, like we said, he doesn't want Phoenix, so he decides to replace Phoenix with a pill-popping male glam rock prima donna named Beef.
And
relegates Phoenix just to a backup singer.
Okay, before we get any further about Beef, I just have to say, and when I say this, I'm speaking to Lance, did you feel like you were watching Stefan in the 70s?
So you would not be the first person to say that I look like Garrett Graham, first of all.
Wait, God. Not just look like Garrett Graham. Hold on a minute. We're talking mannerisms, the character voices that you do. Like, if you were glammed up and doing a character, I could totally see this being you.
Dude, well, we've got our Halloween costumes. I'm gonna be Beef, Lance, you're Swan, and Victoria, you're playing the Phantom.
I'm in for it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I love me some Garrett Graham though, man, and totally looks like my friend Josh O'Brien. I don't know if you guys know Josh or not, but I think
I know. Yeah, I've seen him.
Him and his twin brother, they both I think look like Garrett Graham. But I love me some Beef.
Same way again.
Beef is my favorite character because Beef plays a very singy on stage, but then he's like, "Hey, bitch."
Go to see.
Wait a minute.
Go to see my mother in Cincinnati.
So Swan gets the completed cantata from the Phantom, he's also been feeding pills to this whole time to keep him high. Yeah. So basically, I feel like he's rewritten this thing in 4 days. Is the way it feels like to me. 4 straight days, 24 hours a day.
Well, I mean, he gave him a week, right?
Yeah.
To write it.
Well, and that's like you said, this was the 70s. I mean, my God, I think like most record companies had a cocaine budget.
That's a fact. That is a fact. But he gets done, he passes out, and Swan tells the guys, because remember, this is like a hidden studio. He tells his biker gang, go ahead and seal him in with a brick wall.
Brick it up. Yeah.
Brick it up, man. I'm like, you got this guy high on pills and craziness. He's crazy.
That, you know, when you want to talk about gothic stories, there's a little Poe right there for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only do we have Poe, but we got Psycho in the next scene because you got Winslow escaping, which we knew that was going to happen. He's able to bust through that brick wall. There's Beef.
Drugs.
There's Beef high as a kite in the shower, singing and soaping up, and and I wonder if Beef is like an allusion to Meatloaf. You know, like
I had wondered that myself. Actually, I was like, "Is this no? Maybe."
I don't know. I can't.
I think Meat was a little later.
I don't know, man, because Meatloaf was in Rocky Horror the next year.
You got a point.
And Steinbeck were doing stuff before this came out, right?
Yeah, he was doing stuff before. Bad Outta Hell didn't come out till 77, but yeah, he was doing stuff ahead of time because he was, like I said, he was in Rocky Horror Picture Show. He was also in the original Broadway cast of the Rocky Horror Show.
Yeah.
He was in Hair, so he was doing off Broadway stuff. So it's possible. He was going by Meatloaf already at that point. So
yeah,
I mean, he'd been going by Meat for most of his life. I mean,
yeah.
So
not no vegan Meatloaf either.
No
beef. So, but yeah, what a great scene, man! Like him coming after Beef in the shower. Basically he doesn't kill him though, but threatens to kill him if he performs. So Beef tries to up and get out. Beef is like, nope, I'm done. But he's
also, I just want to say how much I love the fact that he made him shut up with a plunger.
Yes. Yes.
I was not expecting that. Like I literally thought it was gonna be like full on threatening with the knife that he used to cut the shower curtain, but no,
it's the plunger. Yeah.
That's what's great about this movie. It's like every time it's about to get scary, it gets funny. And it's hokey and corny in the best ways that the 70s can be. And I absolutely loved it. But yeah, he tries to get out of there. Philbin basically says, convinces him to stay and play with the new rebranded band of the Juicy Fruits Beach Bums, now called the Undeads. Who now all represent Caesar the Somnambulist from Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Which is a really cool shout out.
There was a weird there's like this weird rumor out there that he based it on De Palma based them on Kiss. But this was like before Kiss hit it big, so everybody's like, no.
I had wondered that when I saw the makeup. I was like, I didn't know, and I'm not gonna say I'm not a big Kiss fan. I'm not familiar enough with them to know.
Look at her walking on edge.
No, it's obvious. It's the Somnambulance from Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. If you've ever watched it, it's almost identical.
Yeah, I mean, even me as a Kiss fan, like when I first saw it, that never crossed my mind. I thought Cabinet of, another little factoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get opening night. Beef is performing. And the Phantom hidden in the rafters. Which, by the way, this whole set, this whole opening song is amazing, where they're just pulling body parts from the audience.
Yeah.
And they're building Beef is amazing.
When I was younger and like watched this scene, it freaks me the fuck out. The dude getting stabbed in the chest and like shrinking. Oh, it just it freaked me out.
It's great though. But hidden in the rafters, the Phantom strikes and electrocutes Beef with the big stage prop, and Beef is
wait, no, not just a big stage prop.
The big lightning bolt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Neon lightning.
Yeah.
A big neon lightning bolt, which is beautiful.
It is. And then
it kind of pisses me off though, because to me, Beef's an innocent man. He didn't want to do it.
I mean, yeah, but
I don't know.
It was really fun to watch him be electrocuted because that whole part where, I guess cinematography, I use that term loosely here with this scene, but it was just really kind of beautiful, and like the way that Graham really kind of played into that whole electrocution part, to where it's like, yeah, and you can tell that he's necessarily in pain because of the goofy ass faces he's making.
Yeah, kind of Looney Tunes. Yeah.
He's great. He gives
Cartoony.
good face. He gives good face. But yeah, so immediately Philbin makes Phoenix go on stage and finish the set to basically pretend like that's the way it was supposed to go. And of course, she's an immediate sensation because she's perfection. Don't forget, she does the chicken wing dance.
Yeah.
So you got to love it. So now that she's hot shit, Swan is like all of a sudden into her, which is really odd as well. Like he's all of a sudden in love with her too, and seduces her in her dressing room after the show with promises of stardom, and essentially pulls the same thing, gets her high and shit like that. And makes her sign a contract. As she leaves, she's spirited away by the Phantom to the roof. The Phantom tells Phoenix his true identity and implores her to leave the paradise so Swan won't destroy her too. But Phoenix doesn't recognize or believe him, and she gets the fuck out of there. And so the Phantom just creepily watches Swan and Phoenix in a tight embrace, getting freaky goofy. Great music over this scene. One of my favorites songs. Heartbroken, he stabs himself through the heart with a Bowie knife. However, Swan tells the Phantom that he cannot die until Swan himself has died. So the Phantom attempts to stab Swan, but Swan is unharmed, and looking down at Winslow, Swan hisses in his reptilian voice, "I'm under contract too." And that's when you're like, what? This is where we get our backstory.
Stefan is on
Swan.
his whole...
So yeah, I'm under contract now. And this is where, like I said, we get into his origin story. The Phantom learns that Swan made a pact with the devil in 1953. He's that old. So
it's not. I didn't know that they give a specific year.
Yeah, because they said it was like 20 years before. So if we're looking at this as 73, 74.
Yeah. There was a picture of his mom and him or something that someone had. Like this was taken in 1953.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yep. So basically you have this where he's sitting in a bathtub and he's talking about how he's so pretty and he doesn't want to get old because he's afraid. And his hair is ridiculous and he's so little.
Which is also something I would probably do. Sit there and smoke ash in a bathtub talking about I'm not pretty anymore.
Yeah, and his reflection talks back to him as the devil. But basically he tells Swan that he'll remain youthful forever unless the videotaped recording of his contract is destroyed. So there's videotapes of all of these contracts. And this is where it's kind of like the picture of Dorian Gray a little bit. The photos.
There's a quote I've always really liked from this film during this part. Where, of course, he's sitting there. He doesn't know if he's going to sign the contract or not. And his reflection, which I guess is essentially the devil, says, "You're damned either way."
Yep, you're damned either way.
Yeah, I mean, what's a soul? And then he signs it. I don't know. Just always really liked that scene.
Yeah. So we see that. We see the tape revealing footage of Winslow signing his contract with Swan and then the one he made with Phoenix. We also see a Rolling Stone cover announcing the wedding between Swan and Phoenix during Faust's finale. And so on a live television camera, the Phantom realizes Swan is planning to have Phoenix assassinated during the ceremony. And so he destroys all of the recordings that Swan has collected over the years of all these deals that he's made, I guess, on behalf of the devil. Because like I said, we find out he's not the devil. He's the devil's right-hand man now.
Yeah.
Like Devil's like, I'm tired.
You're missing that scene though, where he's talking to Phoenix, and he goes, "You don't want to be late to your own funeral. I mean, wedding."
So much good cheese, man. But he heads off to the wedding. The wedding is happening. Dude dressed like a pope. I mean, this thing is epic and beautiful.
Yeah.
The Phantom stops the assassin from hitting Phoenix, who instead shoots and kills Philbin, who was the pope.
Yeah. Oh my god! Yeah.
That was
you
great.
you as a Catholic boy. Yeah, that probably.
Oh,
really
it hurt. Hurt. But yeah, so a crazed swan like is just swinging from the stage and rips off Swan's mask, who he was wearing a mask at this point, now exposing him as a monster on live television. So his face is all gross and stuff now because he's destroyed those tapes.
Your voice, you promised to your voice.
Right?
Yeah, like I gotta say the makeup job on this was really good. Like it was creepy good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like the most horror happens in this scene, you know. But Swan attempts to strangle Phoenix, but then the Phantom intervenes and just stabs the shit out of him.
Yeah.
What is he using? Was it a guitar to stab him? Like, what was he using to beat him up?
it was one of the masks, one of the bird masks.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, the beak.
Okay.
The beak.
Right, because here we are, more bird masks. More bird stuff. But at this point, this makes the Phantom stab wound reopen, and so he starts bleeding himself and starts dying. In this beautiful, weird scene, Swan gets carried around by the audience, who join in the mania, stabbing him as well.
Yeah.
Awkward and weird. I guess their hero is dead, so they don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, this is an allusion to Jesus's own people turning on him.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I wanted to go there, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in another piece of amazing makeup, in my opinion, Winslow removes his mask to reveal his own face with that nasty eyeball.
Yeah.
Yes.
And holds out a hand to Phoenix. Swan dies, allowing Winslow to die as well. And as Winslow starts to die, Phoenix finally recognizes him as the kind man she met at the very beginning of the movie and embraces him as he dies.
Not a Disney ending.
No, not at all. She is the Lois Lane. She can't figure out that Superman's wearing glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Swan was like, "Oh, nice mask."
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, that's our movie, man. Absolutely love it. The hell of it is one of my favorite songs to this day. Lance and I were talking about it. It showed up in the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, as well as in Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew Meet Dracula. Paul Williams he performs it in there.
A sequel to The Phantom of the Paradise.
That's right. This album is amazing, and if anybody out there in listener land wants to find me a vinyl copy of it, I would love it. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, so same here.
Just Lord Stefan.
No, the man with no name.
You can get Lance the cassette version.
Okay.
Or 8-track. If you can find an 8-track.
8-track, I'll take an 8-track.
That's how you listen to all your stuff anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love this show, dude.
It ain't shit.
That's right. Not even going to talk about how poorly this was reviewed back then, but now it holds an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes.
No shit.
Yep.
So it was one of those movies that got reevaluated or whatever.
Got reevaluated. Pretty much there was not a single person who liked the movie when it came out.
Imagine that.
Wow.
In terms of the critics. Gene Siskel, when he was working for the Chicago Tribune, gave it 2 out of 4 stars, saying, "What's up on the screen is childish. It has meaning only because it points to something else. To put it another way, joking about the rock music scene is treacherous here because the rock music scene itself is a joke."
Okay.
All right.
Go
All right.
Siskel. Go Siskel. But yeah, I love this movie, man. There's no doubt about it. I love me some Paul Williams. I love some Brian De Palma. There's apparently been a concert production of the show that was held in New York City that I wish I could have seen.
Way.
Yep.
Wow.
One of the best
I've
parts
always
is
thought, this is just a little side note, but when I was younger, I had this illusion that I wanted to be a director, a director of plays or whatever. And I actually drew some sketches because I always thought this would make a really great musical.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
I mean,
completely.
Paul Williams.
I always thought it would be kind of the answer to Phantom of the Opera. If that makes any sense, it'd be kind of like its counterpart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the delusions of grandeur or whatever.
Yeah. One last little bit here is I want to say is according to a Guardian interview with Daft Punk, which on their last album they had Paul Williams on there, which is great. They said hundreds of bands may tout cinematic references, yet few have them as hardwired as Daft Punk. These boys met 2 decades ago at the perfect cinema-going ages of 13 and 12, and the one movie that they saw together more than 20 times was Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah, I remember.
And that is where they solidified their friendship and love of music.
Yeah.
Was Phantom of the Paradise, which is why they had to get Paul Williams on their album.
Nice.
So good.
Nice.
So good. So any final thoughts on Phantom of the Paradise before we get out of here?
Yeah. Okay. So I had never seen this before. I went in fairly blind, not really knowing what to expect, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will say, like, having people compare it to Rocky Horror Picture Show is really it's a travesty, honestly, because it's completely different. It's different storyline, different characters, different music, different vibe as a whole, to be completely honest. And really, like, it's interesting because it's like they're oh man, I completely lost my train of thought. I don't know. I really love how it's kind of borderline where it's like weird and cheesy, but then it gets serious, but then it pulls you back. And I know I shouldn't have talked about this earlier because now I'm completely forgetting what I even said. I get it. There's parts of it, like, for the most part, it's kind of fun and camp and blah, blah, blah. But then there's some parts where it's like very touching. Right. Yeah. I mean,
just that dynamic. It's an odd dynamic. Not a lot of films can pull it off.
Well, and the trio of them, Paul Williams, Finley, and Jessica Harper are just magical.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say now. You can really see, like, the influences in the movie, like, from different places where it was pulled from, as far as like what inspired, either the character or the scene or something that was said. Imagery, and it was done in a way that it honors kind of like where the influence was drawn from, but at the same time it still makes its own without being overly done.
It doesn't feel forced.
It's very natural.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, any final thoughts for you, No Name?
I just want to go on a little, because this is one of those films that it, for me, kind of has a backstory. I remember AMC when I was in high school. I was maybe a sophomore or a junior. I don't remember. It's not important. But I was the young man with no name. And they were having, it was around Halloween, and it was just like they were just putting, if anything, it had just like the tiniest little bit of a link to horror films. They were like, show it.
Right.
And this was on. And I remember I was on the phone with some friends. And like, I remember it came on and I was just transfixed. And I wasn't even paying attention to the people I was on the phone with. and for a year or two, you know, it went off but it was still in the back of my mind, this weird film that I just happened to catch. And of all places, I happened to be at a Walmart or something, and I was reading a rock magazine. And they were interviewing Gerard Way, the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. And they were asking him like some of his favorite films or whatever. And one of the films was this movie, was Bane of the Paradise. And I was like, I didn't even know the title at that point, but I knew, like, he said, like, there's this guy in it named Beef and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, that's that movie. And then I went out and I bought the DVD and, you know, that was the end of it. I was
the rest is history. Yeah. I think the first time I ever saw it may have been on AMC as well, and just forgot about it until a couple of years back. Because I just remember, I was on the phone with some friends and we were talking about whatever sophomore boys talk at that point, and then there's this dude who's really big and buff, but he's kind of feminine and prancing around on stage. There's this dude with an owl mask on, and I was just like, what? It's kind of the same way you know, you want to talk about glam rock musicals. I guess this is a bit more punk, but it still has some glam in it. But it's the same way I discovered Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Oh, I love that movie as well.
I just happened to catch it on an IFC in my teen years.
You gotta love obscure rock musicals, man. You gotta love them. You gotta love them. But Victoria, thank you so much.
Yes,
we appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And with that, dear friends, we come to the end of another delightfully disturbing episode of Misters of the Dark. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you to the Fearscape Media Network. And thank you to Corey Adams and Ashley Jones Adams from Nothing Wrong for our musical theme. And thank you as well, your gothiest Victoria Elizabeth, for joining us this evening. Be safe and well through your journey home.
And don't forget to smash that like button.
Don't you mean slice?
Huh? What?
A decapitation is certainly going to get us some views. But before we go, dear friends, I'll leave you with this. Social media has infected the world with a sickening virus called vanity. Good night.